Asha Jadeja. And what I wanted to do was to give a short introduction. And please feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question. It's just a small gathering here of friends, so don't be shy. So I have the honor and privilege of having Asha here, an incredible person who is not only a mother, a mentor, an angel investor, a venture capitalist, a philanthropist, a fighter for women's rights, a believer in the underdog, and a builder of bridges across borders. Asha, welcome to Karachi.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It would be no exaggeration to say that Asha and her late husband, Professor Jadeja Motwani, have played an instrumental role in the success story of Silicon Valley. Together, they have invested in over 100 startups, names that we all know: Google, PayPal, Pinterest, AppDynamics. AppDynamics, of course, is now the latest company going for an IPO. Asha continues to be a prolific investor, and I'm sure the audience would be very pleased to know that she's already decided to make 2 investments in Three. It's already gone to 3. So 3 investments in Pakistan already. And we are very, very privileged to have Asha here with us today. So Asha, let me start by asking you, where did the story start from? So you started from Ahmedabad in India and landed up in Silicon Valley. So take us through the story, take us through the journey of how you got there.
Okay. So, like all of you actually, Asha, that, all of you went to grad school, right, to various colleges. I was in Ahmedabad in 1980s, and I'm a civil engineer actually by training. And I ended up going to, to USC and to UC Berkeley for my master's in urban planning. And but I grew up actually in pretty small town Gujarat, so like Rajkot, Jamnagar. We are actually from a village called Virpur, which is near Junagadh. And then went to Ahmedabad, and then for my undergrad, and then after that I went to US on. I did get a scholarship actually. So I think I would not have gone if I didn't get a scholarship. So I went for that, and I met Rajiv in Berkeley, and we got married, moved to Stanford, and I continued doing some of my doctoral work at Stanford. But more importantly, as all of you know, that Stanford is quite a home for for entrepreneurship and innovation and so on. And a lot of companies were emerging from that, and Rajiv taught computer science. So I think it was good luck on our part that we got to be at Stanford and got to see a lot of things emerging out of Stanford. And the first investment that we made, Arshad, actually before anything, was a company called Gigabit, which died. And we had, I remember that I would have continued in academia. I would not have gone into venture capital had it not been for this disaster, actually. So Rajiv one day approached me and said, there's this fantastic company, get rich quick kind of a scheme, and let's just invest everything we have in our bank in this company called Gigabit, which was a music search engine. We invested, we begged, borrowed, everything, invested about $100,000, and we got nothing back, like 10, 20 bucks back, and it was acquired by Napster, and we didn't get anything back, and I think it was a project that the venture capitalist botched. So that was
not the company.
No.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So that was, and it was Kleiner Perkins that watched it. So that was a learning experience for me actually, and in fact for me to sort of say, I should look into what Rajiv is doing. Otherwise, he's going to blow more money. Okay. And that's how I actually got into venture capital. Just to sort of keep an eye on him. But it has been a learning experience after that, and really got to see some fantastic things that have changed the planet. And I think it's just, I really think it's I think spiritually speaking, I really think it's an act of divine, blessing that this happened for us,
So it's almost like a plot for an incredible movie based on Silicon Valley. So as I know the story, two young PhD students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, come to a professor in Stanford who has a specialty in algorithms, and come to him to ask him help on a new search engine, right? And Rajiv helps these two students and helps them with their project, which eventually became Google. So, Asha, I want to ask you, how does a research paper, starting from a research paper, how do you create one of the most valuable companies in the world, $560 billion of market capitalization? What is the magic? What's the secret sauce? What is it that allows people to come up with these fantastic ideas and create such tremendous value? How does it happen?
I have two answers. Okay, one which is a standard answer, and then I have one which is a slightly crazy answer.
By the way,
which
guys,
one do you want to hear? Which one do you want to hear?
Can you hear us properly in the back?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you want the standard both? Okay. So the standard answer is that look, first of all, the barrier to entry has to be strong, right? So your intellectual property has to be strong. So you do need to have technologically a very solid kind of a set. So, in fact, I'll just tell you the story of. So it wasn't so much that Larry and Sergey approached Rajiv, but I think at that time, Stanford had already churned out Excited Home and Yahoo, right? These two search engines had already come out from Stanford, and the search results were not good. And partly that was because the search algorithms were weak, So what Rajiv did was he had actually gone to the Stanford hospital. And by the way, Rajiv's, just so you guys would be proud of it, is his roots are from Pakistan. His family is from Darkhana. So, we have strong roots here actually in Pakistan. But Rajiv had then gone to the Stanford hospital and he got the database from there called Midas. And he used that database to first do sort of beta search algorithms, and he had roped in these two students because they were good students.
I see.
And I think it was kind of random actually, and because their PhD advisor was somebody else. But for this Google paper, they worked on this Midas database, and that's how this search engine called Backrub. Google was called Backrub at that time. It emerged at that time. And they wrote a paper which had these two algorithms which were differentiators of Google from Yahoo or Excited Home, and they were called PageRank and Anchor Text, which I'm sure some of you know. And that paper was actually not accepted in a peer-reviewed journal.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you believe? So it was, but they stuck with it, and I think the reason it became a big company, to get to that question, I think is also that they were at the right time in the right place. So this is something important I want you to keep in mind, because I think the Pakistan ecosystem, this is the right time in the right place right now. So all of you who are engaged in technology and in innovation and in doing startups, this is a good time that you're doing this. So be fearless about it, because this is you can't go wrong now. I mean, there's no looking back, because the country is becoming like here, Indonesia, India, everywhere. It's already, it's getting to that point where information is everywhere, smartphones are everywhere, and it's at lower price points now, right? So, and people are quickly getting onto the same page. So I feel that even Pakistan is at a place right now where Google and all these companies were in 1996. So the company was formed in 1996, and the standard answer is that it is of course great technology, right time, right place, seed investment from good people, some good people, and and then hiring the best people, really just sort of technologically solid people. So the company consciously decided that they would not be hiring a strong marketing or business team in the beginning, that they would mostly, grow the company, grow the company based on technology, and that's I think the standard answer. But there's, in hindsight now, when I look at where the company has come, there is I feel there's a non-standard answer, and that answer is that Larry's vision was was almost, it was a vision which was much bigger than Google. His vision was to bring all the information of the world to everybody. And and his vision was that would be the equalizing force.
Mm-hmm.
That would make human beings understand each other as equal beings, so that you don't have such a huge disparity that we have right now. And he felt that technology is a force of good.
Mm-hmm.
So that idealistic vision was what drove this young man. Sergey was also there, but Sergey was more, looking at Google Glass and this and that, other sort of Google. He headed Google X.
Mm-hmm.
But Larry's vision was much bigger than himself. So as you guys do your own startups, you have to have this vision, which is to really to how to make the world a better place. And for the first time in history, we have so much technology at our fingertips, right? We have, our cell phones are supercomputers now. These, what a cell phone can do today needed, 2 rooms of this size, right? In our days when we were, growing up. So this is a radical time right now, and everybody has access to this. So yeah, I think so. It's important to have a larger vision,
So it's a mix of creativity. It's a mix of obviously hardcore technology. It's a understanding or perhaps a vision of an idealistic future,
mm-hmm.
of having impact.
Mm-hmm.
And then a group of people coming together,
mm-hmm.
and it almost seems like the creation of something that is meant to happen,
mm-hmm.
and happens and then becomes something which is radical and phenomenal. So we're very lucky to literally hear it from the horse's mouth as to how it started. So you mentioned Pakistan, and in terms of timing, this is a good time for tech to start taking off. And you've been to Pakistan a number of different times. I was wondering, what is it that surprised you the most about coming to Pakistan? Something that you didn't know about or you experienced when you came here?
Well, I didn't expect, the quality of and the tenacity of entrepreneurship that I'm seeing now. So like he was the person we met, right, from Tello Talk,
yeah.
right? So that kind of entrepreneurship.
Osman, by the way, that's Osman from Aussie.
Yeah. So
yeah. Mm.
When you meet people like that, for me it was a surprise, because I know that the ecosystem in Pakistan is not as strong as it could be elsewhere, right? So the support system is not that strong. It's growing very fast, but so I thought I will see somewhat weaker entrepreneurs. But the quality of entrepreneurs that I'm seeing here is actually just, you could be from Palo Alto, So what's amazing here is that if there was just a slight boost
mm-hmm.
in the kind of resources that these entrepreneurs have, I think you're going to see, I think Pakistan is a rocket ship.
Mm-hmm.
It is because there's even more struggle, and yet there is no stopping these folks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually very heartening to see this, Congratulations on all these things you're doing.
So there's a nexus between academia and entrepreneurship, right? I mean, if you look at the ecosystem in Silicon Valley, it's, Stanford is really at the heart of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the tremendous success of Indian tech entrepreneurs, you think about IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, of course, Rajiv was from IIT Kanpur.
Mm-hmm.
And our impression, I guess, or at least my impression, I would say, is that nexus, which is so important between academia and entrepreneurship, is not as strong here mm-hmm. in Pakistan as perhaps it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some tremendous academic institutions,
mm-hmm.
They're very strong entrepreneurs, but the connection between the two tends to be weak.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering whether you had any thoughts
mm-hmm.
on how that model works. How do you bring academia and entrepreneurs together?
Good news is we don't need academia now, because it's very easy for everybody right now, to have access to the same coursework that we have at Stanford or at MIT or anywhere because of open courseware. So how many of you are familiar with Coursera or Udacity? You know?
I guess all of them.
Right?
Yeah.
These courses are what we are taking over there. And so in that regard, except for the peer network that may not be there, you know, if people can form groups of 4 to 5 and take these courses, you know, or even edX is another one. If people can take these courses, I think we have access to, you know, to some of the best minds of the planet. And you can actually ping them. You know, it's easy to talk to these professors who are teaching these courses. So actually the good news is, Arshad, we don't need that kind of a nexus that seriously anymore, as we did in Stanford, in Palo Alto. We did that because 1960s, 70s, right?
Right.
When Sun Microsystems came out, we needed that nexus. When Cisco came out, we needed that. But right now, with the way things are going with the internet and with having, you know, ubiquity of information, we actually don't need that nexus as badly as before.
But that's true that information is available, courses are available, so it, you know, it really depends on individuals. If they're really seeking knowledge, they can.
But they have to be in peer groups, though.
Correct. So that was my question:
Yeah.
is that how do you, you know, operating in silos perhaps may lead to success, and you know, if you're a determined entrepreneur, there's nothing stopping you. But you know, our experiences living in you know, the Bay Area and seeing the success of Silicon Valley is this peer network, right? And the peer network is an interesting network because it allows people to be non-transactional, right? They're just kind of successful people who want to kind of give back. I mean, in your case, you provide mentorship to so many people. You provide them with guidance, etc. It's not about the fact that, oh, if I'm spending time with you or if I'm investing with you, I want you to give me something back immediately. It's actually helping to enrich the ecosystem. And I'm wondering, how did that come about? You know, is this just a you know, investment of time and effort that eventually that ecosystem develops, or there's some real key ingredients that are required that's brought about that magic in Silicon Valley, which might not be replicated in other places? So what's that magic there?
So first is abundance, right?
Right.
That's for sure. That I think once you are not seeking any financial gain, it does actually make a difference. That suddenly you're wondering what is in it for you, right? Like why are you doing these things, right? And suddenly you realize that, you know, seeing, you know, 1 or 2 young people make that you made a difference to them, that becomes your return on investment rather than finances, right? So abundance actually is something that is what has created that mindset in the valley. But that said, I've noticed that, you know, like you know, all these maker festivals and all these things that I'm doing now between Ahmedabad and Lahore, I'm noticing that a lot of people feel that, like, look at Shoaib, right? I mean, you know, when Shoaib found out that, Shoaib, where are you, by the way? Oh, okay. You know, when he found out that we were doing a maker festival in Lahore, he was in San Francisco with Arshad and Bilal, and they showed up out of the blue, and he didn't even know me. And Shoaib said, I will support this. If there's a maker festival happening where, you know, you bring makers from various parts of Pakistan and you showcase their inventions and you network them globally, he said, I'll support this in Karachi, you know. So that's already happening, right? I mean, that's here actually, Arshad, that's already happening in Pakistan. I think as people see more of people like Shoaib, or how Arshad is giving of himself for free, because they understand, right, that, you know, there is already a value that all of us are deriving in being with you, actually, you know. And so once people realize that, Arshad, I think there'll be more of that. You know?
I think the point about abundance and scarcity, just to talk a little bit more about that topic. So abundance can be abundance of wealth, abundance of knowledge, information, but there's also an element of the heart, right? Abundance of wanting to give back, right? Because an ecosystem has helped you prosper.
True.
And someone has taken a chance and taken the risk and given you the opportunity to succeed.
True.
So it makes it incumbent upon you to give back.
Yeah.
That sense of giving back because you've gotten something
True.
In return for that.